Good day, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, The Next Revolution in ID Card Printing. My name is Edwin Van Riesen, and I'm a Senior Marketing Manager with Barcodes Group. Inkjet printers, all of us are so familiar with from our home and office, have not been able to print on PVC cards. Until now, that is. And we look forward to sharing the details with you over the next 45 minutes. Going through the details of the new ID card printing technology is Mike Mans, Senior Product Marketing Manager for DTC printers within the Secure Issuances division of HID Global. Mike manages the direct-to-card printer portfolio, developing innovative solutions for key target market segments. He manages engineering roadmaps, but also leads voice of the customer projects to develop new products that fit the need of the end user. Glad to have you join us here today, Mike.
Thanks, Edwin. Happy to be here.
Barcodes Group is a leading information technology solution provider with corporate locations across the United States, Canada, and Europe. This encompasses data capture products, which include barcoding, RFID, mobile, people identification, and wireless networking devices. The company also has become the most trusted provider of ID badging, access control, and visitor management solutions. And it's the leading position in ID card printing that brings us today to the launch of the HID FARGO INK 1000 card printer. Mike, please take it away.
Thanks, Edwin. Thank you all for joining today. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules. We wanted to really get you a great introduction as to the new product that HID is launching called the HID FARGO INK 1000. So this is really a revolutionary card printer in terms of capabilities, functionality, and footprint with the technology of inkjet in a desktop card printing space. So we kind of wanted to start with a quick poll of the audience and understand how many of you may be using something like this in the future in your workplace. I'll let Edwin post up a poll for the audience. Got some great input coming in here from the audience. How could ID card printers be improved in your view today in the workplace that you work in the processes you use? What would make them a little bit easier? Whether it's easier to use, more efficient, possibly lower maintenance costs, or even something else that may be a challenge for you today. We'll get some of that feedback and hopefully weave that into today's presentation. So we've got some great input here. Easier to use, probably the number 3 response in the audience. Higher ink efficiency is definitely something that people are very concerned about. Lower maintenance, I think that's something we would all love to see. And then obviously a few others and some no improvements. Boy, no improvements, that's great. I think we can improve on no improvements. So we'll kind of roll into the presentation here and get you a little bit of exposure as to what INK 1000 is. So there's really been an evolution in terms of ID card printing in the marketplace and where it started and really where we're going. So historically, you know, we started many years ago with paper-based ID badges, whether it was adhesive backed or even just plain paper. And we use those as an ID presence for our employees and anybody entering our facility. And that really evolved into direct-to-card side, which direct-to-card gave you an opportunity to print on a PVC substrate, giving that ID badge or credential much longer life, more durability. And dye sublimation has been the primary technology in terms of what we would call entry-level space, or even up into in some nations, driver's license issuance and some things of that nature. So a really well-mature technology, very high performing, and it has a lot of features and functionalities. And we really wanted to take that the next step further. And HID, being a leader in technology innovation, we've spent many years and a lot of investment time and resources developing an inkjet-based platform to apply those credentials and those ID badges onto a PVC substrate. So truly an industry first. There's been some others before that have tried to do something similar in nature to this, HID being one of them. HID, if you remember, if you've been around the industry long enough, Fargo is a brand, I believe it was in 2002, had a product called CardJet. It had some severe limitations. One of them being the card substrate that you wanted to print to was specific. It had to be purchased specifically for that printer, and it made it a more expensive solution. And it had some other shortcomings in terms of the ink quality and degradation. So really enter now the Ink 1000 printer. And it's really a revolutionary card printing process in terms of functionality and performance, because we have the ability now to print with an inkjet based hardware directly onto the PVC cards that you use and have been in your workplace for many years. There's nothing, you don't need special card stock. It's really just a very simplistic, easy to use platform that incorporates a highly specialized combination of inks as well as the process in which we manage that card. So once you get a little bit of exposure to this printer, you'll see that we slightly preheat the card, and that gives the card the opportunity to receive that ink and bite into that card surface. And then we have a very highly specialized ink itself that gets into that card surface and bites in, and then along with that heat, allows it to be fully dry and ready to use at the time it's ejected to that card user. So really an industry first. We're very excited about this in an opportunity to simplify how the workplaces use card issuance solutions. So from a new product platform, what we're introducing today, it is the Fargo Ink 1000. We're releasing it as a single side printer only. So there is no dual side functionality in this particular model today. This is our first entrance into the inkjet card printing space. And we really wanted to get this technology out, get it comfortable with the marketplace, get it into customers' hands, and really build that confidence that inkjet is here to stay. It does have a single ink cartridge. It utilizes yellow, magenta, cyan, and we are able to print composite black with that combination. So we're able to print a very nice, crisp, dark black, and we're able to do so in a very high resolution. So you can see at the bottom of the screen, we have 600 by 1200 DPI print resolution, something that was never available in direct-to-card space historically. It's very difficult to get a dye sublimation printer to that level of resolution, especially in the more entry-level price points where you don't have that retransfer technology. So this is truly revolutionary in terms of functionality, card output, and the quality that you're going to get from that. And we also have the opportunity now to print the full card surface. So if you've printed on direct card in the past, you remember there's little white edges on the leading and trailing edges of the card. Those are there to ensure that the print head doesn't make contact with that card, damaging that print head and causing a very expensive replacement and maintenance cost. And we're able to overcome that now with an inkjet. We're able to print that entire card surface, give you a true edge-to-edge print surface, more replicative of retransfer space. So we're very excited about that. I think customers are going to be very excited when they see that card quality and really giving you that high resolution printed image. And finally, we are also offering an optional upgrade with contactless encoding. So we at HID, we have a sister company called OmniKey that encoding is their technology. That's their core competency, their bread and butter. They have an encoder called the 5127CK Mini. For those of you that are or are not in the business, really that's our encoder to do contactless encoding. So if you have an environment that wants to do contactless encoding to use that card for access control, cashless vending, anything of that nature, this printer can allow you to do that seamlessly in a single step process. Really, I want to kind of walk around the printer with you, if you will, and understand really how simple it is. So in terms of a card printer, traditionally there's a lot of moving parts. We've got a lot of motors, rollers, and componentry inside to allow that card to be positioned back and forth when the various ribbon panels place that card. And we've been able to really simplify that whole process with the Ink 1000. So what you see here, it's a very simple, easy to use, very elegant solution in terms of you've got a very high capacity input hopper on the left side. So for an entry level space, you've got a 100 card input hopper on the left and a 30 card output tray right next to it. So many folks want to have that printer sitting on a desk where they can input cards on one side and they get the output on the same side. So they're always facing the card stock, whether it's going in or coming out. It's a very nice, simple functionality for that. There's a simple, easy to use console on the top. So it is a single button operation. We also have 3 indicator lights to indicate if you need more ink, if there's any type of a card jam, or if you're out of cards. So it does notify the user right there on top of the printer itself. And then a slide door. So if you have a home inkjet based paper printer, you know that loading an ink cartridge, very simple and straightforward. In this printer, you simply slide that door open, the ink cartridge tray can present itself, you snap that ink cartridge in, and away you go. We'll have some videos demonstrating that here in a few seconds, but very simple in nature, very easy to use, and trying to really simplify the whole card issuance process. So I know one of the biggest questions that people have is, how much does something like this cost? And obviously, every opportunity is very subjective to what you want to print. So it's a very different conversation than what we've had historically. Historically, in a print ribbon-based world, you have a set number of image panels. You can buy a 100 image print ribbon, and you're going to be able to print 100 cards. That's not the case with inkjet. Inkjet in the card printing space now is very replicative of what you would have in a home office environment with a paper printer. So now your capacity within that ink cartridge is very dependent on what do you want to print on that card. So I've got a very simple comparison here to illustrate comparing it to, say, within the HID family, a C50 printer or a DTC 1250E, both very high performing entry level style direct to card printers. And on the left-hand column, you can see we've got a card background with a lot of dark, rich color to it. And that card, you know, you could expect anywhere from 250 to 400 cards out of a single ink cartridge. Again, a pretty high yield in terms of interaction with that printer. You know, you don't have to exchange that cartridge until up to 400 cards, where previously on a lot of the entry-level side, you've either got a 100 to 250 image ribbon. So potentially you're interacting with that printer half or even a quarter the number of times. But if you move into the middle column, this is really a card design that we see a lot in the marketplace. Still has a full color background, still has a card holder's image. So you've got a headshot, a lot of card holder information in the black text, potentially even some logos or identifying marks on the card, a very common card. And something like this, we're seeing between 400 and 800 cards out of a single ink cartridge. So the numbers you see here are obviously represented in MSRP, and there's varying prices, and Edwin can comment on that later in the presentation. But for direct comparison's sake, if you got a card design similar to this, you can already save 20% on your cost per card perspective in how does your organization spend money in the card issuance side. And finally, on the far right column, this is again something that we see very commonly in visitor management, retail spaces, any of those cards for, you know, K-12 membership, things of that nature, where you've got a very simplified card print output. Maybe you're using a pre-printed background, or maybe you just want a very simple card itself. Something like this, you can get upwards of 12 to 1,300 cards out of a single ink cartridge. You're lowering your cost per card up to 50%. That is truly something that is incredible in terms of capacity and opportunity that we could never present to a customer in a print ribbon-based world. Ideally, you know, in a print ribbon, you want to use as much of that ribbon as you can, because you don't have the opportunity to save any of that down the road. That image panel is going to get used whether you print on it or not. So unfortunately, we don't have a lot of opportunity to save costs in a print ribbon space. You know, we work very hard to get our costs as low as we can to drive that savings to you, the end user. But ultimately, there's a print ribbon there and it's got dye on it, whether you use it or not. And so that cost is pretty well fixed. And we have an opportunity now to roll out what we call drop-on-demand technology. You're going to use the ink that you need to use, and you're going to save the ink that you didn't apply to the card, and you can use that on the next card. So very exciting, gives you, the end user, or the integrator, a lot more flexibility to help drive savings, if that's a goal for the customer, in helping to design a card that will meet those cost per card needs and targets that you may have within your organization. From a product specs perspective, I wanted to kind of share some of the trade-offs that you'll see in the inkjet-based technology versus traditional ribbon-based direct-to-card side. So from a print resolution, as I touched on earlier, we are able to achieve print resolution that was never achieved in the direct-to-card side before. So 600 by 1200, and really what that means is each ink cartridge has the print head built into it. And that print head on the ink cartridge is a 600 DPI resolution. So in the orientation that the print head is clocked into the system, if you will, on the short side of the card, we're able to print 600 DPI resolution that way, and we're able to print 1200 DPI resolution the long way. So basically what we do is we take that 600 DPI print head and we half step it going the long way to give you 1200 dots per inch, where in the ribbon-based side, you know, it's a very big challenge to do that precisely and give you above 300 DPI on the direct card side. So we're able to really increase that print resolution, give you more finite detail within photos, text, small text if you need to accomplish something of that nature. We're really able to increase that output. But that comes with a small trade-off. So when using inkjet, we need to properly allow for that card to dry and for that ink to dry into the card properly so that when it comes out and it's into that output hopper, it's fully ready to use. It's dry, you can grab it, you can try and smudge it, it's ready to use. There's no challenges there. So that does lower the throughput speed. We want to make sure that that card is perfectly ready to use. But in all reality, you know, lowering that output speed from 220 to 100, if you're not printing in batch mode, you really won't hardly notice a difference. It's a little bit longer, but it's a little bit less than a minute. And so I think you're still going to experience a very high level of output experience. From a compatible or capability perspective, again, we are releasing this as a single side version only today. Future iterations down the road as we continue to build out our portfolio, but we're really excited to get a single side printer out to so many of our customers. You know, over half of our customers are still printing only on one side of the card. So this is really a great opportunity to address a huge portion of the marketplace. In terms of card size, it is fully compatible with this industry standard CR80 size card in that 30 mil thickness. So I think this is going to address nearly everybody's current marketplace and current needs in their environments. Again, from an input-output hopper capacity, very similar to what you would experience today if you're already using direct-to-card style printing. And then again, in that encoding side, if you do have those options of doing it for access control, cashless vending, any type of a retail use, we will offer that contactless encoder as an upgrade option. From a warranty perspective, we do offer a standard 2-year warranty and a 3rd year free at the time of registration. So what really that means is you the printer, you get it home, get it all set up, and you provide HID, say, hey, I just purchased this printer today. I bought it from Edwin's Barcodes companies, any of the various companies that you'll see shortly. And we provide you a free 3rd year of product coverage warranty after that. Very strong industry warranty. And then finally, if cost per card is a big concern for your organization, we can get that cost very, very low. Something that really wasn't able to get or achieve previously in the ribbon-based printers. So I'll pause the presentation right here. I'm going to show you a quick video to outline how does this product look if you were to buy it and unbox it and get one set up in your environment. How does that look? How does that work? And we'll walk through that right now and get you a little bit of exposure as to really how simple this is.
Today I'm going to walk you through a full unboxing experience of a new HID Fargo Ink 1000 printer. We're going to walk through installing a new ink cartridge, getting some cards in that printer, getting the driver set up, and going through that first card printing experience. So let's walk through what do you get when you buy a new Ink 1000 printer. So inside the box, we've got a power supply, we've got a USB cable to connect the printer directly to a computer, and we also have the power cords to go to that power supply for both US power as well as EU power. And then inside the box, we have your new HID Fargo Ink 1000 card printer. So your card printer is fairly straightforward. You've got your input hopper here to the left side of the card, to the card assembly path. You've got your output hopper here and a simple cover to be able to access the ink cartridge install and replacement path. On the bottom side of the printer, we have access to the power supply connection. We also have access to the USB connection as well. So we're going to go ahead and install our power supply. Since we're in the United States today, we're going to use the US power cord. So these power cords, they do come with a Velcro attachment on the power supply itself, as well as a Velcro attachment on the inside of the printer. And really this is to help conceal the power supply inside the printer to help free up desk space and not have this hanging out on the floor. So we're going to plug it in right here inside the printer. We're going to feed this power supply into the Velcroed area, stuffing the cord inside of there. And this is just going to hang outside here to the side as well. Next, we're going to install the USB cord. Just a standard USB to printer connection cord. It's included in all of our HID Fargo Ink 1000 printers. So you've got the smaller end that will connect inside the printer. Plug that in. Now you've got your cords hanging on the outside. You can flip your printer over. And there we go. All the cords are attached. So we're going to go ahead and attach the power to a standard US power supply. And one thing to note now, you've got your printer plugged in. We can turn it on here on the top. There's one button operation on this card printer. And so you've got, as I mentioned before, your card input hopper, as well as a side access door. So we've got it taped shut here, and this is kind of a reminder for anybody that's setting up their card printer. This door does need to be closed for operation. I'll show you what's inside. You can have a quick view of the card path itself. That's really where the card is coming in from the input hopper to the print platen. So if there was any kind of a jam or anything that may occur, you can access it right from here. We'll go ahead and close that door. So in the front of the printer, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a stack of HID Ultra cards. These are just a PVC based card. We don't need to use anything special proprietary. So this is what we use here at HID. We certainly recommend you using the Ultra card products as well. But if you've got something else sold by your reseller, you can go ahead and include those. The input hopper does fit 100 cards, so we've got a 100 card stack here. We'll go ahead and include those or get those installed. You can close the front cover. Now you've got cards in the printer, and I'm going to walk you through how do we install an ink cartridge. So to do so, you'll simply open this front cover, top cover, pull it back like that, and you'll hold the power button for about a second. And you'll see the card print platen shuttle itself out. It presents that card ink cartridge receptor really nicely. And now you can go ahead and you can open your ink cartridge container. It does have a sealed container to help ensure that ink stays fresh. And once you have that open, you can see there is a fill date printed onto the card ink cartridge itself. And then we have a nice clip here that helps to protect the bottom side of the ink cartridge. So when we take that clip off, you can see on the bottom of the cartridge you've got a piece of tape that helps to seal up that ink dispersion location. And under here, this is your print head. So different than a traditional direct card or retransfer printer that we offer today, this is your built-in print head. This printer doesn't have a print head installed by itself. So anytime if something were to happen and you damaged your print head and you have some print quality challenges, simply replace the ink cartridge and you get that whole new print head experience that you would previously have to have spent several $100s to get that replacement. So we're going to take that ink cartridge. We've got the print cartridge assembly presented here inside. Simply push it in, click it, And when you hear that audible click, you know that it's properly installed. You can go ahead and close that cover. The printer itself is fully ready. We're ready to start printing cards, and now we can go ahead and we can install the print driver to enable that card printing process. All right, so I'm going to walk you through installing the printer driver for the HID Fargo Ink 1000. It's a very simple process. I've got the driver downloaded. You'll go to our hidglobal.com website, download the driver for an HID Fargo Ink 1000 card printer, and it goes through a very simple installation process, much like any home printer may use. So we're gonna come in here. It'll ask if you want to install this card printer driver. Select yes. You can read through the end user license agreement. Ultimately, to install the driver, we do need to accept the license agreement, and then also click next. And at this point, it's going to ask if you would like to install the HID printer status monitor, also a nice feature that is offered with this print driver. I'm going to say yes on this one. Click next. And now it says we are ready to install it. Click next to continue. And so from this point forward, it's going to start installing this printer driver. Should just take a few seconds. Very simple and very commonly used installation package. Now at this point, it asks us to make sure the printer is turned on, and then we're going to go ahead and connect the USB to the laptop itself. As you can see with the blue light, the printer is turned on, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in the USB to my printer or my computer. And at this point, it is now communicating with your printer, finishing up the installation process, and it is complete. So it'll ask you if you'd like to reboot the printer after installation. I'm going to click no, and we're going to finish. So now the printer is installed, the driver is installed and ready to use. I'm going to go ahead and open up a simple PDF. I've got some printer images in here, some card images. We're going to select one. I like this one. It's got a nice green background. It shows some barcode, a photo, and we're going to go ahead and print that image. So when I go ahead and select print, bring in my Ink 1000 card printer, select properties, and when I go into the properties, I can see I've got a couple different print modes. I'll show you right here. I've got a print mode that's orientated towards fast, so if you really want to make the cards quicker, a little bit lower density in the image quality, slightly less than from the premium mode. I'm going to go ahead and select premium. I really like those good looking cards. And then just save changes and exit. Come in here, I only want to print the current page, I want this one. So when it's finished printing, you're going to see the card eject into the output hopper here. I'll take it out and show you. Really, so what we can get with an Ink 1000 that's a little differentiated than what's been available today in this price point is really that full card coverage. So you don't see any white edges on the top, what we call top of form or end of form. It's a really full card coverage. We've got very crisp black text and black barcodes. We've got a nice transition of the colors on the user's face and all the text printed on the card itself. So a really high quality card. It's fully dry and ready to use as soon as you take it out of the card printer. Has a little bit of above room temperature heat. That's very common and very normal, as we do preheat the cards to allow that ink to really bite into the card itself. And here you go. You're ready to use that card. I appreciate you taking some time with us today to go through your full unboxing, installation, and setup procedure with your new HID Fargo Ink 1000 card printer. We really think you're going to enjoy your new cards.
Well, hopefully you got to catch that that video. I think it really demonstrates how easy the printer is to use. Really get it installed. There's an opportunity to really simplify card issuance in your workplace, and we're really excited about that. So moving on to a slide that I'm sure many of you are very excited about or very keen about. It really, from this perspective, is how do we position this in the marketplace? Really, is what does this mean in terms of features, functions, capability, in terms of how does it get positioned, where does it fit, especially within, for us, where does it fit within the Fargo HID portfolio? So we've got what we would consider kind of 3 levels of printers. We've got your premium series, which includes the elements. So we've got a new higher end UV portfolio, along with our retransfer printers, the HDP series, the HP 6600XE, exclusively available from the Barcodes family of resellers. And then we've got what we would consider the high-level DTC. So these are typically printers that have more lamination capabilities, some additional security features in terms of custom over laminates, things of that nature when you really want to enhance that security, enhance that durability. That's kind of at the higher level. And then more on the entry-level side, we've got printers that still do a variety of both single-side and dual-side printing, as well as some additional encoding within that. But we're really, at this level, trying to achieve very competitive and very aggressive cost targets in terms of both hardware and cost per card goals. So really, the biggest differentiators with this printer is it truly is the easiest to use card printer on the market. If you've used any inkjet-based paper printers in the past, you'll be instantly familiar with how this operates. And in terms of efficiency, the ink on demand is something that we could never offer in a ribbon-based printer. So this is truly an exciting opportunity to give the power to the user in terms of how do they efficiently manage their ink usage. And then from a maintenance perspective, we've dramatically reduced the maintenance costs because we have significantly less moving parts within the printer. So you've got significantly less opportunities for failure, as well as that expensive print head. So if you've done card issuance in the past, you know the print head is really where the heart of the print engine lives. And it's also can be a very expensive repair should something get into that printer and damage that print head. We don't have that anymore with the ink cartridge-based printing, that each ink cartridge has its own print head built into it. So if something were to get damaged, you can replace the ink cartridge, you're back up and running without a much more expensive repair. And finally, really from a key value points perspective, we look at this as finally, you finally have a chance to get away from ribbon breaks. If you've done ribbon-based printing before, you know ribbon breaks happen. And it's at no fault of anybody's. You're just trying to understand what limits you can press in terms of getting that top of form as low as you can, maybe getting some dark images, dark backgrounds. You don't have that concern any longer. And again, you don't have that concern of damaging an expensive print head, something that really can save you a lot of money in the long run in terms of your issuance solutions. Misregistration, if you're familiar with this at all, the way ribbon-based printing works, you print a yellow image, you slide the card back and you print a magenta image on top of it. Do the same thing again with cyan. So each time that card has to be perfectly aligned with that print ribbon panel to allow all those colors to stack up and give you that final image that you're looking for. If the rollers are dirty, if the printer hasn't been perfectly maintained, there's an opportunity for that card to just slightly be off each time that ribbon gets placed on top of the card, and that's called registration. And that's what creates that little bit of a fuzzy looking image where everything isn't as crisp as you want it to be. You don't have that anymore with an ink cartridge-based printer. We're placing all three of those inks down at the same time and giving you that perfectly registered image. And again, we're able to do dark composite blacks with, we call it composite when you're making up black with yellow, magenta, and cyan. We're able to do that. So you've got one single ink cartridge, making it very easy to use, minimizing that training time to get somebody onboarded, whether it's at a front desk position where you've got, maybe a number of employees with different shifts, or you've got a higher level of interaction with a variety of employees. You can make that training process very, very simple and easy. Again, eliminating borders on the cards, giving you more of a high definition printed image, similar to what we offer in our high side printers in terms of the cost points. And we're able to do that at a very, very aggressive price point.